I want just to shine a little light on the industries that discover, invent, make, market, sell a lot of the interventions that are involved in helping sick people to get better, and put a bit of context around that. I think it's important. So I speak to you as a person who spent 2 decades helping to build life sciences organizations in academia, in commerce, and in not-for-profit research. And we stand here at the center of the new growth world. Markets here in Asia are growing faster than anywhere else. Over 3 billion people are looking for increased access to healthcare. And the pharmaceutical and allied industries see this as their opportunity to maintain profit and to increase shareholder value. And I think they're 360 degrees wrong. By that, what I mean is I think they're going in the right direction, but for all the wrong reasons. And I'd like to just explore that very quickly. I think the industry thinks it can exercise a kind of pharmaceutical imperialism, doing its business in the same way as it does in the West, charging the same kind of margins as it does in the West, and therefore adding value in the same way as it does in the West, both to patients and to their shareholders. But they can't. They can't because governments, patients, carers, even healthy people can't do that and don't want that. They want a different thing. And with half of the world developing and with 500 million children waking up every morning hungry, business as usual just isn't an option. And there are some hopes, there are some themes in the industry that may help the industry to do better, to reduce its cost of R&D, to be able to deliver better products. And some of those are open innovation, access to the best minds in academia, to help them to fill their pipelines that they fail to fill themselves. Stratification of medicines, our increasing understanding of the human genome, wonderful new diagnostics, hold out the opportunity to diagnose diseases better, to tell people which drugs will work in which people, and maybe even to reduce the cost of clinical trials. But that can only work with the help of regulators and with the compliance of physicians and prescribers. Natural products, traditional Chinese medicines, hold out some hope. And it's encouraging to see that the FDA is beginning to accept medicines based on some of these principles. They have, after all, 5,000 years of safety information behind them. And of course, the concept we're all talking about here, wellness, looms large, and it's self-evidently true that prevention is better than cure. Vaccines clearly play an important part, as do nutrition, diet, and of course, personal behaviors of other kinds. So making wellness a priority, combined with outcomes-based payments, is clearly the best way forward. It's the best way forward for people, for governments, and it can be a way for companies to maintain and grow their shareholder value. All of these are valid, they play their part. But with the exception of TCM, all of these are missing one vital component: Asian solutions. And I think Asia may hold the key. I'd like to give you a couple of illustrations from a friend of mine, Mahmood Khan. Mahmood is an illustrious physician. He was chairman of R&D for Takeda Pharmaceuticals, and today he's the chief executive of Pepsi's nutrition business. Yes, there is such a thing, and he is a good man in a company that you may think of as a bad company. There is a product called Leha Chusti, which is a canned soft drink aimed at young children, which is also an iron supplement and a vitamin supplement. The problem with selling it in India is that you need to sell it for less than the cost of the packaging anywhere else in the world, and that's the marked up, made, distributed, sold profit margin for the retailer price. Is it possible? The same is true with Horlicks. The cost of a jar of Horlicks in India is the same as the cost of the empty jar in Ohio. And then you look at products like Quaker Oats. There have been rigorous clinical studies with Quaker Oats where you get 7 to 10% drop in cholesterol in people who eat oats. That compares with what, 20 to 30% that you get with a statin? Just a quick question, is it better to have a broad, hungry population eating oats, or a small wealthy population taking statins. Anyway, so how do they do this? Pepsi managed to get a huge growth in volume of sales, but with tiny, tiny margins. Horlicks is now 90% of Horlicks is sold in India today, but the margins are tiny. But Pepsi did maintain shareholder value and they did maintain their margin. How did they do that? By learning from Indian businesses about how you go about making a soft drink that's retailable at 3 rupees a tin, and then by overlaying some of that on their businesses in the West. So Asia has something to teach the developed world. And this conference, you as delegates, can be a catalyst for change. Please talk to each other, listen to each other, learn from each other, and then just do it. Enjoy your lunch.
Just do it, please. Thank you, Stephen.